You're listening to Permission to Shine, the podcast. Stories of overcoming obstacles and finding self-empowerment with Sherisse Bisram, Inner Power Activation Leader. The Oxford Dictionary describes permission as the action of officially allowing someone to do a particular thing, consent, authorization. What if you were that someone and you gave yourself the permission to be everything you wanted to be and more? No more playing small and accepting less than. You are worthy of the life of your dreams, regardless of what it is that you've been through. And honestly, it's exactly what you've been through that has shaped you into the version of yourself that you are now. Like a diamond, you've endured so much, but instead of breaking, you have become stronger and brighter. And if that's not a reason to shine, then I don't know what is. And if nature can do it, then why the hell can't you? You are brave, you are strong, you are powerful, and you are enough. Hear my call and give yourself the permission to shine, because you don't realise how many people are inspired by your light. Hi everyone, so lovely to be back. It is just me today. So I'm recording on the day of the new moon in Cancer, and I'm going to really kind of focus in on inner child healing things, because that's really what's come up for me over this past few days. Now, if you're not listening to time, this is still going to be relevant. Okay, so I just want you to know that even if you're not listening on the new moon weekend, this is still super, super relevant, because the stars are always moving, the sky's always moving, but also our internal world is always moving. So I just want you to know that that is all relative. So just to give you a bit of context from the astrological perspective, is that Cancer is the mother of the zodiac. And then we have Chiron, that is the wounded healer. And then we have Capricorn, which is like the father of the zodiac, so to speak, right? So what happens is when these planets are all kind of intermingling, let's just say, I'm not going to use astrology jargon because it's going to become like, what? You're going to be like, what are you talking about? But yeah, when they're all conjunct, this is kind of where I said I wasn't going to use the astrology jargon, didn't I? And there we go. It just rolled off the tongue. Anyway, our inner child is affected more so during this time. And I really felt that. Now, prior to this new moon coming up, energetically, I felt recently that I've reached a ceiling in my life. Like I reached an energetic space where my inner child and the past version of me didn't think I would reach. And then I need to break through that seal in order to reach all of the abundance that's beyond that. Now, I've energetically felt that for quite a while now, really, to be honest. And yeah, I just was actively working through it as I normally do. You know, all of the tools that I give my clients, you know, looking inwards, doing the journaling. I've also been doing some EFT tapping, somatic exercises, like really trying to allow this inner child wound to come up and to be seen. And the funny thing about healing is, as I always say, it's a cycle. So a lot of the wounds are connected. So that wound that I've currently been feeling would have been 10 times heavier prior to me beginning my healing journey. However, because it will work in a cycle, and each time you go deep, you release another bit, right? And now I feel like the debris are left, and that's exactly what that was. So I worked on it myself, as I said, and then I had a reading with a medium. Now, I know some people aren't into that. I actually myself are always open-minded with it. I don't like to put too much weight on myself with these things. I don't want to get too caught up in like trying to create the future. But equally, I think it's really nice to have some external guidance. And especially for me, as you know, I've got 11 members of my family that passed away when I was between the ages of 12 to 17. Obviously, it's a lot more than that now. I'm 33 next month. So, you know, I've got a good old stack of people there ready to come through. And yeah, sometimes it's nice to just have a little bit of guidance, you know, and especially because energetically I was feeling this. Now, I booked that reading weeks ago, and the lady kept moving it forward. And what divine timing, right? Because obviously I'm starting to feel this. I don't understand it. And it was just a beautiful reading about how much everything is going to bloom for me in my life. And I've always known that. I think I've said to you all before, if you've listened before, I've always known since a little girl that I was meant for more. I've always known that abundance and success and all of these things were meant for me, because just little things I would do, like I wouldn't I'd be careful about, the way I acted in public, and like being mindful of those things. Like I wasn't a crazy drinker, until I got into my 20s. I started partying. There's like I really, everything I've done in my life has been really well thought out, because I knew that I'm meant to achieve more here, right? And I'm meant to be a role model. That's the key point here, is that I just knew since I was a little girl that I wanted to be a role model, and I was supposed to be a role model. And she confirmed that in the reading, which was so beautiful. And just to see that right now, obviously, I'm in the beginning stages of my business, really, but to know that this is going to skyrocket, and actually to have this episode out and one day listen back will be really beautiful of a journey. And you're all coming along with me, which is even more beautiful. But with knowing all that abundance is coming, equally, the scared version of me and the little inner child version of me is like, whoa, can we carry all of that? Can we hold all of that? And that's where the ceiling came in. And I was like, because I've never seen it before, am I starting to doubt that's possible for me? And then that's me getting in the way of my manifestation. So what was even more amazing is, again, surrounding yourself with the right people. So I had my medium reading, and then a few days later, I was speaking to my mentor about it, and she's a spiritual mentor. So she guides me in business, but also in life. And she was like, right, let's go in now and let's find where that block is. And we had the most crazy release session. It was Wednesday, just gone. And she was able to take me back into my inner child self. I was like 6 years old at the time. And she said, what can you see? And I just really vividly saw a memory of my dad in this like blue and white kind of polo top sort of t-shirt thing that he used to wear. And I just remember seeing his face, and I was like, that's where this abundance block is. And I think it's because my dad was always trying to prove himself to his family. He had a business and he lost it because he drunk it under, basically. He was an alcoholic. So he drunk too much and then got carried away the business, and then obviously let it fall to crap, basically. And I remember just, we were in feast and famine cycles a lot, but generally after that business went under, which was probably when I was about 6 years old, that was when kind of everything got a bit difficult for us. And as a byproduct of being an alcoholic, obviously he gets injured more frequently. Then he was out of work for large portions of my life, and actually for the last 3 or 4 years of his life, I don't think he worked at all. So yeah, it was always down to my mum to obviously take care of the family. Now, with obviously that cycle in itself, the money aspect, that's kind of where I'd witnessed that. And as I always say, the inner child experience isn't just what you're told, it's what you observe. So if you are a parent listening, or you have had like inner child wounds, you will know that kids learn by action than words, right? Like that saying, do as I say, not as I do, that kind of thing. It's like, no, that's contradictory. There's no way you can do that unless you're a robot, and that's where AI comes in. um so yeah, that was the first part. And then the second part of that for me was the overwhelm of the fact that at 6 years old, I felt like it was my responsibility to hold everyone's feelings and emotions, like, to hold that sort of shame that my dad felt, and also the protection of my like mum and my sister, like to be in that space where I felt like I had to hold everyone together, hold them up. And kind of, again, I always say, like, I didn't get to have a childhood emotionally because I was always holding this space. So don't get me wrong, I had beautiful moments in my childhood. I wouldn't say it was always gloomy, but it was heavy all of the time. That is what I can say is completely true. I have carried this weight my whole life, and I feel so sad for myself. And when we went into that memory, I just exploded with tears, because as an adult now, and the most healed I've ever been, not the most healed I'll ever be, but the most healed I've ever been, to look at that version of me and just feel absolute sadness for her. Gosh, that was so overwhelming, but such a beautiful release, because I was able to then nurture my inner child, energetically through meditation, and yeah, just reintegrate her back into my body. And that's something that I do a version of myself with my clients. And what's amazing here is the understanding that I am a practitioner myself in this space, this holistic, intuitive healing space, but I equally need to be healed. And that's why I'm such an advocate for the work I do, because I'm also doing it as well. I'm not just telling you what to do. I am doing it, that I am that example, I am doing the things that I said I do, and I'm being this version of me. And yeah, it was just really overwhelming in such a beautiful way. And then the next moment I got back to was in the visualization, was being 18 years old and feeling like I had to prove myself. And that was a really strong memory for me. And I feel like I've had to do that my whole life, if I'm honest, because, growing up in the area I grew up in wasn't diverse. And, being a dancer it was hard always, in any form of dance style that you wanted to do. It was always difficult to get into. And even now, there's only like a small percentage of people that train as a dancer that will actually become a professional. And that's where my toxic masculine came in, as I always say. Like, it pushed me through to get to the version of myself I obviously was when I became, I'd say, successful in booking frequent jobs, all of the things. And, again, in that dance industry, you are proving yourself all of the time. And I just felt it. And I just remember my whole life, people have underestimated me. And I think I've always had that, again, that toxic trait of saying, I'll prove you wrong. But that, again, is another weight to carry. And in that time, when I was 18, it'd been like a year since my dad had passed away. So it hadn't been long. I hadn't grieved. I was still holding the weight of my family to like help them grieve the process, not grieving myself. It was just a lot of weight to carry. So again, I had to take the weight off of that younger version of me and tell her it was okay. And again, I was sorry that she had to carry that, because again, she took it upon herself to do that. And that was kind of where, again, there was another beautiful release. And then I went into a lovely future memory, and then all versions of me got to come with me, and we got to see how easy it gets to be now. And it was just so beautiful. And I know that for myself, that the future version of me has an easy, beautiful, abundant life, and I'm actively trying to create that every single day. But this is the thing: when you are a cruise ship trying to sail forward, if your anchor is still stuck at the bottom of the ocean, guess what? You're not going to move, right? Or you're not going to move as fast. So me going back to heal that inner child wound was me rolling up the anchor. It was me or cutting it off and saying, I don't need to feel that way anymore. I accept it. I understand it. And now I release it with love. And or I accept that anchor and I roll it back in inside of me, and know that if I do need to ground myself back into these thoughts at any moment, I can, but I don't need to let it hold me back. And I feel like that was the real beautiful shift that I had. And don't get me wrong, like when you do this healing work, as I do with my clients, there is a few days of integration. So funny enough, it ran alongside the dark moon. Now, when the moon's dark, that's internal. That's asking us to look into our inner world and just decipher, what's going on. Where do the feelings connect? All of the work that I basically did was so correlated with the astrology, which is so beautiful, heavy and difficult, but beautiful and transformative, because I woke up the morning of, the 2 days, we're in 2 days of new moon. So Friday was the first day, and I just felt light. I felt so light and free, and I feel like the weight of what I was feeling is nowhere near what it used to feel. I used to have a constant knot in my stomach. My body used to feel heavy, but I did feel a bit out of sync. And that's the thing with, connecting to your body, your mind and soul. When something feels off. And for the week before, I kind of felt like, oh, something isn't sitting right in my body. Something needs to be healed. And yeah, I felt Friday, I woke up and I felt light. I felt good in my body. I felt back in my body as well, which was so nice. And then again on Saturday, which is today, the day I'm recording this, again, I feel just a bit more free, than I was before. But in a really peaceful, it feels like an exhale. That's what it feels like. It feels like I've just gone, oh. And that's the beauty of, doing the work for one, releasing the inner wounds for two, and then three, this is what the nurturing side of Cancer is about. It wants you to feel your feelings. It wants you to see yourself and see your wounds and not shy away from them, because guess what? Every time you turn away, it gets bigger and more aggressive. And one day it will conquer you like a tsunami. And guess what? I'm a double fire sign. And then my moon is Capricorn. So there is no water in my chart at all. So Cancer season alone has been very emotional for me, but just in a beautiful way. Like I'm just feeling things, you know? And I would say for a, double fire sign and a Capricorn moon, for someone that should be so fiery and grounded, I am very intuitive considering, which is lovely. But in Cancer season, woo, goes through the roof. And if you are a water sign, like I give you so much compassion because you feel these feelings all of the time. And it's definitely not a weakness. It's absolutely a strength. Like there is so much power in being able to sit with yourself and say, oh, I'm really feeling this today. I'm going to let it pass through me, and then I'm going to get back to what I need to do. The old toxic version of me would keep going, keep going, keep going, hit the wall, and then bang, I'm out, and I'm not doing that anymore. So this is a real invitation for me to really heal. And, it's something I'm actively doing all of the time, but there's parts of yourself that you can't reach. And I use this analogy the other day on social media, but it's a bit like healing. It's a bit like needing to scratch your back. You can scratch so far, but you need someone to help you get the part that you can't reach. And that's the beautiful thing about it. And it's just really important for me to let you know that, because I want you to know that everything that I teach, I'm practicing. Like I am 1000% the embodiment of my work. And I'm saying that because it is important, because I know a lot of people that aren't doing that. They're teaching, but not doing. And I think that for me, as a leader, which obviously is my title, I lead by example. And I just, want that to be super transparent for anyone, maybe listen for the first time or I don't know. But just so, yeah, that's there. And also for you to take accountability for yourself as well. Like, what are you saying that you do that you aren't, Or maybe you're allowing yourself to play small and to let other people lead you when actually you deserve to be the leader of your own life. I think a lot of women especially have been ingrained to be people pleasers, and I've done a whole episode on that prior, but that's really something that everything connects to. And where it really, the stem of it is for me, is the trust in yourself. Do you trust yourself? And that comes from healing. The more you heal, you accept yourself, you then respect yourself, and as a byproduct of that, you trust yourself. And that's what creates these new pathways to becoming your future self, right? And all of this is everything that I teach. I go through all of these stages with my one-to-one clients, but more recently I was thinking, well, how can I make this more accessible for more people? So if you are kind of interested in dabbling in the work a little bit, or just getting on that ladder of, becoming more accountable, or, trusting yourself a little bit more, if you're kind of tethering on the edge and you're not quite sure, I am doing a really low ticket offer for a reignite and replenish 5-day soul evolution. And that is literally 5 days, and I'm just going to be going through each day just a small little task that you can start to implement every single day, because for me it's about that 1%. That 1% of change that we can create every single day is what creates a trajectory of abundance and success and freedom and all of the things that your soul has been craving. So in this 5 days, you're going to be in a community setting, which is really nice. You can share as much as you would like to. I'm going to be adding my tools in there, like my meditations, my journal prompts, some worksheets. And also, you're going to gain just some, really incredible ways of, managing your boundaries, and that will be with you in that app forever. And then also, how to really release and reframe those limiting beliefs, because that's a real core reason as to why you feel like you're holding yourself back, because it's the cycle that keeps repeating over and over again. And even down to being accountable, that's a massive thing. But I have a proven technique that works, and I use it with my clients, and you're going to get access to that in the 5 days. And it's just £25, and it's on a free app called Telegram. And on there, as I said, you can keep the app forever. All of the information will stay on there forever. So it's just a really great opportunity for you to just grow and learn and get a taste for what I do at such a low price. And you know, those tools can last with you for as long as you feel like you can reach. And when you need your back scratched again, I'll be here. So yes, really, to summarize, we have to heal, we have to feel, and in that space, that's where we grow and thrive, you know. And the opposite of depression is expression, and this is all tied into this, you know. So I'm sending you so much love and light, and wishing you beautiful healing vibes. And really embrace, if you're listening to this to time, really embrace this cancer season and allow yourself to deeply feel, you know, in every way. And if you're not listening to time, you know, when can you allow time to feel? You know, maybe you set a time, maybe you know, on a Sunday, for example, I always have a bath, you know. And I know that sounds really random, but my life has been so fast paced my whole life that I've always had showers. So on a Sunday, I make sure I have a bath. So maybe it's that you just fill a bath on a Sunday, you listen to an emotional podcast, or you look back at photos of you and you just feel for that half an hour, you know, and then you get back to it again. That just release will just create space for the abundance you deserve and that you are creating for yourself. So yeah, as always, any questions that you have, any guidance, or obviously to work with me on a one-to-one setting, please do drop me a DM or an email. And my Reignite and Replenish Soul Elevation is going to be in a link below. So yes, I would love to have you on board. It starts the 8th of July. I will probably run something similar in the future. Right now, I don't know what that looks like. So yeah, if you want to join and get access to this at such a low cost, then please do. But I'm sending you so much love and light. Be proud of yourself. You know, look how far you've come. You're amazing. And yes, the release is what creates space for the dream life to happen. And that's where your powerhouse self resides. Love and light.
If this episode resonated with you, please do like, follow, and share with someone that you know would benefit. If you're looking to dive in deeper to becoming your most unapologetic, most authentic, shining self, please do head to my website and join my newsletter, where you will find out about all of my upcoming events and speaking opportunities and all of the things that I have going on. And also, if you would like to work with me, please do drop me a DM on any of my socials or through my website. Love and light.